Welcome to Provocative Conversations from Twice 5 Miles Radio. I'm your host, James Nave. Today I'm recording this show, putting this show together in a hotel room in Taipei, which is the capital of Taiwan. It's raining outside, relatively warm, spring-like day if you were in New Mexico or in Asheville, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm doing this show in a way that I've often dreamed of approaching a show. And here's what's going to happen. And I am appreciative that you will take this ride with me. I've often wanted to just go around and collect the experiences of a town. It's a bit of a stream of consciousness approach. We arrived a few days ago, and on the first day after our arrival, I decided to just record my impressions of Taipei on our first day touring the town. I'm with a group of 8 people, Tish, my life partner, and her family. So what you will hear is my impression of Taipei first day here. I'm not trying to create a narrative. I'm just reporting on what happens. You will hear a lot of background sound. We start in a quiet area, the Memorial for Chiang Kai-shek, which is gigantic. You'll hear that in the description. And we go from there to a restaurant and to other experiences as well. And we end up in a night market at the end of the day. So the scene is this. We started out in the morning around 9:30, had a car, actually a van. We all piled into the van, and we go to the area that honors Chiang Kai-shek. He left China because he didn't want to be part of the communist rule. He wanted democracy instead. So there's a lot of conflict between China and Taiwan right now. So it's a very current political situation. The scene that we arrive at is very quiet, lots of people moving around, and what you will hear now are my reflections on the beginning of our day. We've moved through the park, and I'm standing on the steps of a really large building. Huge area, 4 buildings. The building in the distance has a dramatic purple roof on it. The 2 buildings to the right and to the left have large, gigantic brown roofs with dragons on top, and people are meandering around in the courtyard, which is the size of about 5, 6, 7 American football fields. I'm standing very close to one of the large buildings. It's 7, 8 stories high, big archway, people coming and going. Chiang Kai-shek was the man that left China, came to Taiwan because he didn't want to be communist. Not that far away, and there's some conflict between the 2 countries, as you know, if you listen to the news. Unlike North America in December, this place is mild. It's 70 degrees here today. Sweatshirts on, sweaters, some shorts, some t-shirts. It's a spring-like sensibility. If you're in Asheville, it's a May feel. And if you're in Taos, it would be similar to May. So I turn and walk up the steps, probably 200 or 300 steps to the very top of the area where we can enter. I don't know what's inside this large building. I'm not sure if I will be able to enter it or not. Will I be thwarted? Will I have opportunities that I haven't had in the past? There's a beauty in the forms that I'm seeing right now, the organization of these beautiful buildings, the way the people move around. Walking straight toward this gigantic wall. Granite, it looks like, marble perhaps, with these huge, it's marble, I'm touching it, and it's very cool and beautiful. And I'm turning away from the marble, which reaches up 3 or 4 floors, and I look out over the cityscape, and I see the purple on the rooftops and the brown on the rooftops. And I'm following along, and now I'm going to enter the building. But it's not anything other than this gigantic hall. It has the statue of Chiang Kai-shek sitting on a big throne. So people are here, gazing up at Chiang Kai-shek on the throne. I'm now entering the hall where Chiang Kai-shek sits. He's overlooking the tourists. The hall is the size of maybe 2 football fields. I don't know. It's hard to say. Thousands of square feet, 5,000 square feet. Chiang Kai-shek is 2 stories high. He sits with a beautiful look on his face, staring out over the cityscape. And I wonder what it all means. And now the elevator door opens and I will go see. The elevator called me into a container that will take me up to the sky. The awakening tide calls me. Of course, the awakening tide is the display, the call for freedom on the long road to democracy. Elevators are interesting because when you step in them, they all have the same containment. But when you step out, you never know what you will find. So what I find now is art, and lots of it. And I'm able to stand now above Chiang Kai-shek's statue, and I'm looking down on the Great Hall. And what I see are more people moving through what is turning out to be a massive, massive space. Let's say 40,000 square feet. Let's say the ceilings are 3 stories high. Let's say that this is dedicated to human rights. This is dedicated to freedom. This is dedicated to the sense that we are all created equal, that we are here in the world as human beings, and we desire our sense of freedom. I'm perfectly fine with people taking authority over their sovereignty. And that's what this is reminding me of now. I'm looking at these fantastic drawings, some colorful, some black and white, of horses, of the moon, the horse running with its tail long into the moon, the horses moving in different directions, the carabao carrying a child through the field. All of this has significance. I stand before the painting. The brush flies with ink, it says. The brush flies with ink. And in the flight, the horse remains an image hidden from its own sight. And yet it runs in flight across my sky, which is inside and outside my eyes, where I belong in this world. I'm thrilled to know what comes next. Let us find out.
Because at the Taiwanese government, the when they try to Taiwan, right? So they just telling the soldiers, same like
The vibe continues. Now, if you have ever been in a museum, you know that each one has its own rhythm, and yet they're all the same. Ah, now I see the stairs. The stairs are calling me down. We descend the stairs. Nobody wants to get on the elevator anymore. So we go down slowly, step by step. When I can feel the pull of gravity, will I make it? What will happen on the stairs? Sometimes when I go down steep stairs, I go backwards because the center of gravity is falling forward rather than backwards. But today I'm going down face first. I lean in and I smile and I'm almost to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, and I'm down. Whew, my goodness, I'm free. Back in another large hall that extends up. The pull of gravity keeps me on the ground, but my spirit moves up to the beautiful ceiling that is so ornately carved, you would think it was made in a place somebody might call heaven. But right here, it is on earth, just above me. So this is quite a little meander, don't you think? And it's certainly improvisational because I don't know what will happen next, but how does anybody know what's going to happen next? How do you know what will be? How do you know where you will end up? There's an auditorium to my left. I wonder how big it is. I've seen some musical advertisements. They do symphonies here, the largesse of things. To the right, some cinema stuff going on. Hands up in protest. And then the hands open and the flowers sprout out of the hands. And we wonder what's inside the balled up fist once it flies open. And as I walk through this grand hallway, a few museum staffers with their yellow jackets are waiting to help. The images are all around, but the most important part is how big it is. And in front of me, for reasons I cannot explain, there's a post office. I could mail you a postcard. I could wish you a Happy New Year or a Merry Christmas or a Happy Birthday or a Happy Hanukkah or just a happy moment. Happy moment. And we have banking services here. I can change money and I can eat noodles. And there's some Picasso exhibits here as well. The Eternal Picasso, Art, Muses, and Companions. That Picasso exhibit will be here later, but not today. I don't own a Picasso. I've met a couple of people who do own a Picasso. What does it mean to own a Picasso? You possess it for a moment and then it moves on. So what will happen next? We shall see. I don't know. I'm standing quietly, waiting for instructions. What are we here to do? We are here to be alive, to be present, to connect, to do something small that then grows to large. You can be kind to the person that you meet. You can smile, or maybe not. Maybe you keep the frown on your face. It's your choice. That's the freedom of it all. That's the choice. You can be stylish or you can be frumpy. You can iron your trousers when you go out, or your shirts, or your clothes, or your jackets, or your blouses, and appear wrinkle-free, or you can go out in wrinkles and appear a wrinkly dressed person. Right now, here in Taiwan, most people I see are not wrinklily dressed. It's a very fashionable place. Long flowing dresses, stylish jackets, upscale pouches, sunglasses that look like they were bought in a fashion store, smiling people moving round and round. And the chi does feel pretty good right now. So my group is moving on past the coffee shop and the noodle shop, the curio shop, the ice cream place. And just beyond the place where you can buy noodles, I discovered 3 water stations. Of course, I have a blue water bottle, and I like to carry my water bottle with me. So I stood in front of the water stations and filled up my water bottle. I could get hot, warm, or cold. So you just touch it and you wait. A timer comes on, and then the water fills up, and then when the water bottle is full, you touch it and it finishes. So now I have a full water bottle. My group is having some noodles. They're sitting at a table. This room, even though it has a beautiful ceiling, is rather Spartan. The thing that you find here more than you do in a lot of places is how quiet it is. It's beautifully quiet. Everything is dramatically organized. And I'm looking around, and there's a restaurant that I won't go in, but I see it has tea. And there are stairs that go up and classrooms, and this door is closed because somebody works in here during the day, although it is the day and it is Monday and nobody is working in here right now as we move towards 2026. But the year doesn't know what year it is. The year has no number. Time only exists because we have created a frame for it to exist in. But the time that the birds understand, the time that the rhythms of the universe understand, it wears no watch, nor do the birds. Have you ever seen a bird with a watch on its wing? I have not. Nor will I ever see a bird with a watch on its wing. But that's okay. The birds have an internal clock that's connected to us all. Something I find interesting in all of these places, when I'm walking around as a tourist, I see the refinement, the pictures, the ceiling, the way people move. But I don't see things like hand carts and plastic crates. And yet, as I stand here in this hall, I'm looking straight at a hand cart and 3 plastic milk crates. I don't know if milk comes in them, but it's the size of the milk crates. They're sturdy, and that's what people use to deliver things with. So not only do you have the organization for the people who are coming through, you have the background as well. I remember once I was stuck in the Atlanta airport. You may have been through the Atlanta airport. If you fly into Asheville, you almost certainly have. And you know how well organized and how big it is, how gigantic it is. I was stuck there because of a storm. I had to spend the night in the airport, and so I slept on the floor. I just stretched my gear out, slept, thought it was going to be an easy, quiet night. Around midnight or so, I stirred a bit. 2 a.m. I stirred a bit more, and at 2 a.m. in my stirring, I looked around, and it was like Grand Central Station. People were cleaning the airport, and I mean cleaning with big pieces of equipment, and they had had uniforms on. They were running around, and there were a lot of them. It was an entire army of cleaners. They were all happy and singing, and it was during their day's work, but it was the night shift. So I woke the next morning at about 5 a.m. They didn't bother me. They didn't sweep me up and put me in a trash can. They left me right there on the floor. But I woke the next morning, 5 a.m. or so, and they were still there, but they had disappeared into the crowd. I knew who they were because they were wearing certain types of uniforms. So now when I go through the Atlanta airport, I can spot these people. They're the ones that support all of this order, just like the plastic crates right in front of me, which now have gone from 3 to 6. So somebody is delivering something, and I don't know what it is, but they certainly came and went without notice. The evidence here is 3 more plastic crates stacked now on the handcart. The handcart was standing free of the plastic crates a moment ago, but I still don't see the person that brought it. I'm sure the person exists, but I'm not exactly sure where that delivery person is. Man, woman, young, old, tired, excited, loving the work, hating the work. As we enter 2026, the question is, do you love the work you do? Do you love where you are? And the answer is yes. The answer is no. Or maybe. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. The question is, can you move in that direction? The fellow showed up. Young, 20 years old. A pullover shirt with a blue collar. And it says, what does it say? I love milk. He's delivering milk. I was right. Milk crates. He has a black mask across his face. It's not COVID time anymore. Guess what? A lot of people in COVID hated the masks. I loved the mask. I liked going out with my mask on and my hat. Nobody noticed me. I was part of the crowd. I was invisible. So maybe you're somebody who hated the mask. Maybe you thought it was an imposition on your freedom. I thought it was an opportunity to be free within the imposition. We're moving again. The crowd has started. My group is moving. Where will we go next? I'll report that when I arrive. But for now, we're stepping back out, I believe, into the day, which is beautiful. Blue sky, a few clouds, and everybody's coming and going. It's around 11:15. I'm not hungry yet, but lunch is somewhere in the future, but not in the next 15 minutes. But something will be. Let's see what that is. So I have now left the big hall. Chiang Kai-shek is still sitting there, and all the art will hang there tomorrow. But I'm no longer there. Am I art? I'm moving art. I'm taking a left, and I'm headed back out towards the car. We're going somewhere else now. We're leaving the Chiang Kai-shek area. But before we go, we're going to walk through a park. Now, as you might expect, you might anticipate, and in your anticipation, you're probably ready for this. The park is well organized. The rocks are all well placed. The sun is warmed now. The day is high. The pine trees are all exquisitely placed. Visually, there's everything right about this visual. It's exciting, and yet it's quiet. You want to walk in the park and be part of the park. Oh, through the trees, I see people practicing qigong or tai chi. And these folks obviously have been doing it for years. You can tell by the way the man moves. It's something that he's had in his life for a long time. He is in no hurry, and neither are the trees. And lo and behold, neither am I in the moment. I don't know if you are in a hurry, if you feel like you're in a hurry, and you have to get things done. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Let's make those big bucks. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Bring in the cars. Let's turn this thing into profit. I want some return on my investment. I've got to brand this thing. I know what I'm doing. I have made many things in my life. I'm now on the top of the heap. I've got to stay on top of the heap. I present myself in order. I hope I'm impressing you. That's an Americana sensibility. I feel that. But in this garden, I do not feel it. In this garden, I feel the ease of Tai Chi, the ease of Qigong. No hurry. And you might not be able to hear it, but there's a flute playing in the distance. I hear the flute. I have my fingers touching my ears. There's a man rubbing his kidneys, getting ready to practice his qigong. Could it be that these people are the trees and the trees are these people? I'm walking easier now. I no longer have my industrial sensibilities. I hope wherever you are, you can lean a bit into the air that you have around you. You can rest for a moment. I stop. I look. I'm feeling a bit warm. It's almost too hot to wear this jacket I have on. And I can hear the birds. As I continue to move away from the flute and the sounds of the park, I move into the birds. It's little flocks of birds, and oh my gosh, can you hear them chatter? Happy birds in a well-organized park. And I wish I could tell you what they are, but they're black with little spots on their wings. So if you happen to know birds in Taiwan, black with little spots on their wings, you can send me an email, nave@jamesnave.com, and you can identify the birds. But I am looking at a guy with a camera that has a long lens on it. And that long lens is an 800 millimeter or 1,000 millimeter lens. He must be shooting a bird. Very serious photographer. Shooting very serious birds. Now we're making our way to the car, and we're going to be leaving this area and going somewhere else. And I don't really know where we're going because I'm not in charge of the agenda. I'm just following along. But we're not to the car yet, but we have arrived at a pond of water, a water pond. And then the trees around the pond have what appears to be something similar to Spanish moss dangling from them, but I'm not sure what it is. And as I move around these ponds, I am able to identify one bird, the mighty pigeon. The pigeons are everywhere, and these pigeons seem quite happy. But I'm going to walk over to the pond and look in and see what else is there. I also see another bird I can identify. It appears to be a heron. I doubt it's a great blue heron, but if you've ever seen the great blue heron, this heron is behaving the same way. It's a Taiwanese heron. Could be a blue heron, I'm not sure. But these are pigeons. Taiwanese pigeons, but the pigeons look the same everywhere. And they seem quite content wandering around. And there's a fellow here with another long lens camera. I think he's taking pictures of the pigeons. Maybe I should too. Even the lowly pigeon has value with its beauty. Pigeons are actually gorgeous birds when you look up close. Their feathers shimmer with green and blue as they move around and preen. And they're very different colors. Even though they look the same, no pigeon is alike. And now, to my left, a white heron walks through. Perhaps that's an egret with a little black bill. Ah, so the bird life is abundant. We've already established that. I wonder what birds we'll see next. Let us wait and find out. Now it appears that the heron, which I thought was a great blue, has caught a rather large fish. Not that I would think fish wouldn't be in this pond. Ah, now it's flying away across the pond. It's going to go across and eat the fish. Wow. The cycle of life continues. The heron is very happy. And a little bird that I have no concept of, 6 inches long, is swimming by. It's not a duck, but it's a tiny little floating bird. And the heron eats the fish, and all is well in the kingdom of the natural world. And now we make our way back out from the park back to the car. It's a van, and we all pile into the van. There's 7 of us, so it's a bit of a crowded proposition. The driver's very jolly. Seems like most of the people that I've interacted with so far here in Taipei have been super friendly, easygoing, laid back almost, not fussed about life. We are now in the car, and I would be remiss in my broadcasting duties if I didn't make a bit of a report from the car. It's a bit warm in here right now. The car is crowded, some conversation going on. So you have a feel for the sensibilities of the interior of the car. People are laughing and moving through the day. There's a rumor that we might be headed to lunch. Not sure if that's true or not. There will be food somewhere in the future. But for now, what's in the future? The car rolling forward. So we have arrived at the lunch place, Yang Kong Beef Noodle. Been open since 1963. It's a very popular place. There's a long line out front. And while I wait, I'm looking at something that completely, utterly fascinates me. A very small space between 2 buildings. All the way to the back, I see a brick wall. And then there are cardboard boxes with 1 bag of aluminum cans stacked in the middle. I could walk back and almost fit. Might have to slide sideways. A few wires dangled, and the loneliness that exists in these alleys. It's intriguing to me. We are at the end of 2025, the beginning of 2026. Is there loneliness in the world? I love the lines Charles Wright includes in his poem Lonesome Kind Special, when the traveler, the explorer, the person on the hike gets to the end of the road somewhere in Montana, and they see the cabin leaning into the hillside, and they see the 4 walls with plain lumber inside, the outside cheap mud and cement. I start to think about what it was like 50 years ago. The whole structure was maybe more beautiful then, maybe not. But whoever lived there, they looked out the window and they could feel the loneliness crawling under their skin like a live thing, and the emptiness like a live thing beyond the window's reach and the fire's glare. I look to the back of the alley and I see what could be loneliness, or do I see inspiration? Is loneliness an inspiration? Meanwhile, this line is maybe slightly shorter. I'm slightly closer to lunch, but I'm not sure of it yet. I look around and nobody notices me. Perhaps I'm invisible.
There's 8 of us. We get 4 bowls.
So I have now entered the noodle house. And on the menu, guess what I saw first? Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is everywhere, all over the world. It's here at this noodle house. I noticed the noodle house has a Michelin notation. Might even be a Michelin star, although I don't think so. Michelin 2020. The Michelin brand endures. We have now ordered our noodles. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to get. And I've been recommended this hot sauce. And the hot sauce is a paste, almost fermented, And I have been warned to put a small amount on the tongue. Steer clear of the large amount. I'm going to smell it now and see what it smells like. Oh my gosh, my nose is heating up and I haven't even put it in my mouth yet. What will happen next? I'll wait for my noodles to come before I apply the paste. Will the paste excite me? We do have some green beans on the table. Where do they come from? So I will eat some green beans now. They're beautiful. The noodles have arrived. Big bowls, steam coming up, chopsticks on the table. Everybody reaches out. I'm going to dab a little of the hot sauce into my noodles. There's some peanut sauce on the noodles. It's a beautiful mixture of things. And the whole restaurant is busy. The line is still out the door. And people just dive right into the noodles. And I'm one of them. So I'm diving in and I'm eating my noodles. And it's filling me up. And I really like these noodles. And I'm loving the vibe of this place. It's really a terrific vibe. And it doesn't take all that long to eat the noodles. It's a longer wait, actually, than it is to finish the whole meal. So now it looks like everybody's finished. So we're going to get up, leave this Michelin-mentioned restaurant, and go back out on the street and see what happens next. I'm standing in the middle of the street, which is not a busy street. It's an easy street. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. Do any of us know what's going to happen next? We think we know. We think we have a plan. But actually, those incremental, tiny little things, looking left, looking right, tripping over a curb, stepping up onto the curb, avoiding the bicycle that goes by, saying hello to a stranger you never met before. Can anybody actually predict any of that? Absolutely not. I don't know. But I do know that something is going to happen. As Robert Penn Warren said, something is going to happen. I tell you, I know. I tell you this morning, I saw ice in the bucket. Something is going to happen and you can't duck it. The way the wind blows is the way the dead leaves go. Something is going to happen, and I'm telling you, sir. My group is moving down the sidewalk. Maybe we're going to another restaurant. Maybe we're going to a curio shop. Maybe we're just going to look at the sidewalk and what's on it. We'll see. So I've now discovered the next stop is scallion pancakes. And if you thought the line was long for the noodles, this line for the scallion pancakes is long. I'm not particularly hungry. I've already had noodles. But for some reason, these scallion pancakes are quite popular. I'm going to peer in. And there on the griddle is a to-go stand. And there are probably 100 people lined up waiting to order scallion pancakes. A mysterious something to eat. That's for sure. I will report back later on what happens with the scallion pancakes. It's 10 minutes after top of the hour, which is 12 noon here in Taipei. As I move around Taipei today, I'm reminded of years ago when I traveled around the country performing poetry and going to different schools. And after the schools closed and we were free for the afternoon, I walked around towns. I was collecting each town, collecting the experiences that I could have in those towns. I was collecting the Americana sensibilities that were there. And it occurred to me then, as it still occurs to me now, that wherever you are, you can collect the sensibilities of the place, the atmosphere of the place. Americana sensibilities, Southern sensibilities if you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. The Taiwanese sensibilities. You can collect the sensibilities and the experiences of Taipei. And what makes it interesting for me, and I think this might be valuable for all of us really to consider, the experiences do not have to be that dramatic. They don't have to be overwhelming. They don't have to be something you could even report. I'm now sitting on a stoop. It's an empty stoop that has doors behind me that go up to apartments. So nobody is coming and going because it's not a shop. It's a residential area, even though I'm in a street that is loaded with shops. And the people I'm with are still lined up for their scallion pancakes. I suppose the whole line maybe takes 30 minutes to complete. Eventually you get there, you order, you got your scallion pancakes. I did count the people, 75 people or so in line. Now my eye has fallen to one pair of trousers, jeans, on one person standing in line. And what's interesting to me about the jeans, they're torn. So I can see the knees underneath the jeans, and the threads are really ragged around the jeans. It looks a bit like somebody wore the knees of the jeans out 12 years ago, but they're still hanging on. So for some reason, of all the knees in this line of 75, those knees are the knees that stand out. And that is something worthwhile. A scooter just drove up and parked in front of me. I thought the scooter was going to deliver food to the people in the houses behind me or the apartments. But no, the scooter guy picks up some food to deliver. He drops it in his box, hops back into his scooter, which is aqua green and orange, starts it up, and takes off to the next location. You can hear it now, and off he goes. So collecting the sensibilities of the area. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to me? I keep coming around to the simplicity of things. People having conversations, people pointing. Now there's the phenomenon of the labubu, which are these little things that hang from people's gear, backpacks, pocketbooks, other kinds of cases. Younger people have them, little creatures hanging or dangling from their gear. I've been told that the labubus are very valuable, are very collectible. And it looks like now that we have given up on the pancakes. No more pancakes. No more scallion pancakes. And it's time to move on to the next thing. Oh well, disaster averted. Let us go to the next beat, whatever that is. I rise from my stoop now. And now we're walking back to the car. One thing shifts and another thing happens. Something is going to happen and you don't know what it is. I had no idea folks were going to bag the famous scallion pancakes. They were there for the fame, one of them said. And we're coming because the pancakes are famous. My response was, fame. Fame, what is that? The thing about fame, everybody wants to be famous. And yet those people that were famous years ago are no longer famous because nobody knows them. I guess fame really is measured by how many people know your name. If you can mention your name in a crowd of strangers 1,000 miles away and everybody says, oh my God, I know that person. I love that person. Even though they never met you, that's fame. And yet one day it doesn't exist anymore. What is fame? Famous pancakes with scallions. I guess the pancakes endure with their fame more than the people do. Yikes. Worth a discussion in a salon somewhere in the future, don't you think? We have now given up on the pancakes and driven a short distance to a park built around the industrial area, or an industrial area. And all the architecture is built around the older buildings, even though they have the sense of the run-down aspect you would expect from the older buildings. They also seem to fit right in. So somehow the architectural design has managed to incorporate this newness with the oldness in a way that makes it seem stately almost, enduring, permanent in its impermanence, without trying too hard. It's quite interesting. how one can experiment with all of these different ways of approaching things and create value equity in things that could be crumbling. It's a bit like the arts districts in different cities. Sadly, Hurricane Helene washed away a lot of the River Arts District a year ago, or a little more than a year ago now. But people emerge. From the mess emerges order and logic. And some of the trees here, gigantic, probably 200 years old. Who knows how old these trees are? So what does it mean to have history? What does it mean to draw on the things that are around you and build out new from the old? As I moved around the art area, the industrial art area, people are gathering. It's a busy afternoon. It's a Monday. Doesn't matter. Folks are out. I'm thinking about the work I do in the imaginative storm writing. It's a method, really. It's more than a method. It's a way of looking at things. And we start with a list of words. And often I'll tell people, the list of words is just a starting point, and you can develop from around that list of words. Now, the thing that's interesting about that list of words, it's drawn from the vocabulary that each person has. We all have similar vocabularies. You speak English. We all understand mostly what's being said. Another way to approach it, you can do an imaginative storm approach to an environment that you're in, and you can create an improvisational poem based on the words that describe the location that you are working in, existing in, like the one I'm in now. I'm sitting on a bench in a passage. People are coming and going. I see bricks. I see specks of paint. I see sparkles on trousers. I see long black hair. I see a watch. I see an archway through a door into a shop. I see a man with black hair in a painting. I see people coming and going. Almost without trying, I made a narrative. So you can really look around and create an atmospheric sense of the place you're in. I'm going to attempt that now. I'm going to do an improvisational response to the area that I'm in and see where it goes. Boards on concrete, the speckles of white between the gray, raining down from the green bricks that stare back at me on this brown bench full of people I don't know or do know or could know. Rocks line the world, and the shadows in the windows, reflected from the clouds, bounce down beneath the green leaves. I see a few hands moving past me. Blue, black, white. A mask. A man wears a mask. Avoid the disease at all costs. The woman in the cherry red watch band pushes her baby by in a carriage. And another guy walks by with a mask. Jewelry becomes jewelry. There's the coming and going of the day. Old people, young people, and those that live in between. Age begins within the moment of your breath and goes on from there. So as I sit here in the afternoon watching the people go by, that's my reflection. But this whole show is a reflection of what's going on in these moments. Simple, easy, and with some form, and yet without much effort, the day goes by. And now we finished the tour of the park and the improvisational work, and we're heading back to the car for something else. I don't know what. There is an itinerary for this journey. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now. I don't know quite what it is. I'm not planning it. I'm just following along. It's better that way, not to know what's going to happen next. I like it. So now the day has shifted to the night, and we close out the day in what is called the night market. It's a place that's packed with hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of people, stalls and stands and food and odds and ends, things to drink, things to buy. 2 people warned us before we swam in to hide our money and watch out for pickpockets, so that's just what I did. We have been out and about on the town all day, a little bit of a rest in the afternoon. And now we're here at the night market. Of course, as you might imagine, the market is not dark because lights are everywhere. Bright, shiny lights, beacons of opportunity. Watches. Are the watches knockoffs or are they real? I don't know. Earrings. Vendors. If you've been to a market anywhere in the world, a conference, a street fair, you know what the vibe is. But this is a vibe that has lots and lots and lots of opportunities and hundreds of people. It's an eternal market. Goes on all the time. So we ended the day with a market. And I started out this visit with a comment about Chiang Kai-shek and how he founded Taiwan. And today I read in the newspaper that the Chinese are doing military maneuvers off the coast. And the Taiwanese are a little bit on guard. So we begin with the passive Chiang Kai-shek and we end with our fingers crossed that things will be okay, but you just never know. For now, though, I can see how in a place like this, you never know what will happen. The crowds move slowly. Food is everywhere. And the opportunities for people to come and go, as people do, are vast. It's very crowded. Lots of food, lots of action. It's around the holiday season, so you're going to have more and more people here. And I'm not sure exactly what everybody does, except they eat. Everybody eats. And check out the steaming food. And the beer bar. And it's quite deep, the market. What's most interesting, of course, you have the moon above, shining down. I always remain quite intrigued by how these things play out. The night market in Taipei. So we left the night market around 9:30 in the evening, and now I'm sitting in my hotel room finishing this show out. I'm leaving the sounds of the night market underneath my voice just so we can keep the vibe of the night market going and give you a little bit of flavor as I reflect toward the end of the show. This is the end of 2025. We have arrived at December the 31st. I'm recording this as we transition to 2026. So if you were listening to this around the beginning of the new year, here's hoping that all of the things that you are looking forward to in 2026 are able to unfold and come true. We are entering a time that is quite disruptive. I've said that before on this show, and I will continue to say that. And the reason why I think it's important to lift it up is because in these times of disruption, these times of uncertainty, these times when you're just not quite sure what's going to happen next, just like I wasn't sure what was going to happen next as I recorded what was happening next as we moved through my day in Taipei. So in the disruption, we all have a chance to make some meaning of the things that happen around us. And even though I keep talking about disruption, when I look around where I am right now, I see order. I'll bet if you look around where you are, you'll see a fair amount of order as well. I'm sure you'll be able to find much disorder to go along with the order. The point is, there's a coming and going, ups and downs. Things are always changing. Something is going to happen, as I mentioned earlier in this show, the poem by Robert Penn Warren, Something is Going to Happen, I'm Telling You So. It always happens, he says, and it always happens on days like this. Every day is the same when it comes to the happenings of humanity and all the other creatures that surround us. So to close all of this out, I will tell you, last night after the day was done, Roan, Paco, and Tish and I went to a classic Taipei listening room. It was basically an upscale bar with top quality recording equipment. And the thing that was most interesting about it, they had listening rules. You couldn't request a song. You had to listen to what was being played. The turntable was very expensive. The receiver was a Macintosh receiver covered in plexiglass to keep the dust out. And the fellow behind the bar, and it was really a bar with lots of fancy drinks, this fellow knew exactly what he was doing. He truly made an art out of mixing drinks. I ordered a mocktail. I'm no longer having a relationship with alcohol. Tish, Paco, and Roan ordered very nice exotic drinks. So we sat there listening to this quiet, easygoing music. I'd never heard this kind of jazz before. The speakers were large and perfect, and the entire room was designed to listen quietly. So eventually it all filled up. All the bar stools were full, and yet it was as quiet as it could be. And the fellow behind the bar, he meant business. You knew that not only was he able to organize all of the drinks that people ordered, but he was enforcing the rules of quiet, of easy conversation. And they had a list of rules, the things you should not do. And at the end was no vomiting in the bar. And there was a fine of 3,000 Taiwanese dollars, which converts to about $95 US. I didn't see anybody drinking all that much, so I couldn't really imagine why somebody would vomit, nor have I ever seen a rule like that on a menu before. It signaled that the place was a serious place and that you best follow the rules that were written down. And if you did follow the rules, you would get along just fine. And another thing to mention here about rules, one of the things I have noticed about being in Taipei, the streets are really clean, occasionally a scrap of paper, but that's about it. And there are no trash cans that are obvious. It appears that everyone has agreed to a social contract to keep the city clean because it's a collective sensibility. And indeed, it really, really works. And that fit with what was going on in the listening room last night. Everybody knew if they sat in order, they would be able to absorb the beauty of the music and feel the vibe of the room. I have to say, I enjoyed every second of it. I was so pleased with just being there in that atmosphere. It really suited my aesthetic sensibilities. And after we finished our time in the listening room, we stepped back out onto the street, which was very orderly, as I've already established. It was cool. It was moist. The street was quiet. People were walking, but they were talking in a tone similar to the listening room tone. Not overdoing it, not overplaying it. Everybody walking along, taking it easy, having a nice evening stroll. We returned to the hotel and closed the day out. I woke this morning to find another day awaiting me, December the 31st, the end of 2026, which is also, for now, the end of our time together. So I do appreciate you listening to this reportage, these reflections, this collage. I didn't try to make it anything other than what it was. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have some thoughts on it, I would love to hear those thoughts. Navé at jamesnave.com. You can send me an email and tell me what you think. I might try to do more of these as time goes on. I think it's important right now to report from the field, to collect the experiences that are out there. Important for me to do it, and maybe also important for you to do it as well. So if you liked it, I would love to hear your feedback on that. Navé at jamesnave.com. And with that, I would like to say, as I always say, thank you ever so much for tuning in to Provocative Conversations from Twice 5 Miles Radio. We've had a conversation with Taipei this time. I hope you enjoyed it. Walter Parks, thank you for the theme song. WalterParks.com for more on Walter's music. Walter's based in St. Louis, by the way. Devine Dial, thank you for managing WPVM-FM, and Robin Collier and Mike Tilley for doing the same. KCEI-FM, Cultural Energy Radio in Taos, New Mexico, broadcasting up into Colorado. If you would like to reach me, as I've said very often, Navé at jamesnave.com. You can always send me an email. I would love to hear from you. And with that, I again appreciate you tuning in, and I do hope you come back sometime soon. And until then, maybe, just maybe, I'll catch you on that turnaround somewhere down the line.